The President of America, in a desire to enrich himself, tries to pull off a crazy plan, but accidentally destroys 8 billion people and flies to another planet. Astronomy graduate student Kate DiBiase goes to the observatory, and there, as usual, the girl launches a giant telescope. The first pictures appear on the screen, and one of them greatly surprises Kate. In the picture, the girl sees a large comet, which was not in the field of view before. The girl's colleagues and Professor Randall Mindy gather at the observatory, congratulating Kate on her first big discovery. The company cheers, marveling at the beauty of the celestial body and the flight path. Dr. Mindy calculates the comet's flight speed on the blackboard, but suddenly the professor freezes. He abruptly sends the students home, asking only Kate to stay. Mindy calls Dr. Calder and asks him to check his email. Something confused the professor about the pictures, and he wants to double-check his hunches. Calder includes a NASA specialist in the conversation, and with excitement, Kate reports to him that it is estimated that an asteroid more than 5 kilometers in diameter will collide with the Earth in 6 months, and this threatens the extinction of all life. Dr. Oglethorpe thinks everything needs to be reported to Washington, and to do that he needs someone who saw the comet first. So Mindy and Kate fly to the White House. At the White House, Randall and Kate meet Teddy Oglethorpe and General Timms. President Jane Orlin was going to attend the meeting as well, but for now everyone has to sit in the reception area. Kate tries to keep her cool, but the excitement makes the girl vomit right into an urn. Night falls, the general leaves, leaving the trio to wait further. But Jason Orlin, the president's son, informs the guests that the meeting is postponed because of her poor health. Kate's boyfriend calls her to tell her about his article, and it makes the girl terribly angry, knowing that in 6 months they will all be dead. Kate can't listen to the ridiculous problems. Mindy feels the same way. Communicating with the family, the doctor tries to be happy about his son's success, but it is given with difficulty. The next day, President Orlin receives the scientists. She and her son don't understand why they are being told about some comet in the first place. Dr. Oglethorpe intervenes in the conversation. He suggests that the comet's trajectory be shifted by nuclear drones, but the president is more concerned about the upcoming election, and she advises everyone to keep quiet, promising to bring in more scientists. Oglethorpe tells Mindy to leak the information to the press. If we leave it alone, disaster cannot be avoided. Peter Ishervel, a developmentally disabled genius, presents his new model of smartphone that can read the host's feelings and emotions. After the presentation, Teddy hands him the pictures, knowing that Peter will know what it's all about. Mindy and Kate meet with the camera crew, and those double-checking the information are about to run the news on the morning show. Meanwhile, the comet flies quietly approaching the Earth. The day of the interview comes. Kate realizes that even here, they will not find a response. The plot about the comet is put after the story about the breakup of a pop star with a boyfriend. The presenter asks stupid questions, preventing astronomers from telling about the terrible future of the planet. Oglethorpe supports his colleagues by sitting at the screen and hoping they will still be heard. From fear and from excitement, Kate's speech turns out to be very quiet and hesitant, so no one pays attention to the terrible forecast. Notwithstanding the spitting attitude, Kate makes a scandal and runs away from the hall, and this becomes the main theme of the issue. The show ends without ever broaching the subject of the comet. Kate's breakdown goes viral on the network, becoming a meme. The producers are no longer interested in the asteroid news, deciding that astronomers are out of their minds. Even Kate's boyfriend breaks up with her, thinking she's crazy. Newscasts only talk about the upcoming election and the president's promiscuous behavior. Even Randall's wife stops taking seriously his stories about the imminent end of the world, and instead of helping her husband, she chooses to go for walks in the fresh air. Mindy has to get away from the computer too. Coming downstairs, Randall sees a crowd of FBI agents on the doorstep. Kate is arrested at the jogging trail. Oglethorpe on his way out of the office. All three are charged for disseminating state secrets and are taken to the White House. The president apologizes to the scientists and says she's ready to stop the comet. Jane admits it's for the sake of not losing the election, but the scientists don't care about the reasons. The important thing is that they can save the world. The next day, the president speaks to the people of America, stating that the data came to her just now. There are only 5 months until the comet falls, but the president promises the Americans that they will do everything possible to save them from destruction. The only thing that worries the scientists is the method Jane is going to use to shoot down the asteroid. The president is going to send a decommissioned shuttle into space to be flown by an American hero. For the role of this hero, Jane has chosen Colonel Benedict. The president is leading in all ratings and winning the debates. Social networks talk only about the comet, and Mindy becomes the star of all kinds of shows and newscasts. Randall also returns to the talk show studio where it all started, speaking much more confidently. And it's no wonder, because the blonde host Brie Evans, with her hand under the table, supports the professor. The once humble Mindy spends a lot of time in Evans' bed telling her about herself, while Kate is once again the target of ridicule on the talk show. Finally, launch day arrives, and the entire presidential apparatus gathers around the screens. Millions of people around the world gather in front of their televisions, waiting for the results. The rockets take to the sky with the shuttle, and the boosters are announced to be jettisoned soon. But at that moment, Peter asks the president to step aside for a moment so he can talk to her. No one realizes what's happening, but Jane, returning, cancels the operation. People watch in horror as the shuttle returns to Earth, and it seems to everyone that nothing good will ever happen again. The three scientists are brought to the White House and locked in an office while major issues are decided. Finally, Jason, the president's son, comes and announces that he has now been appointed chief science advisor. But the other scientists, Kate and Oglethorpe, don't get clearance, so they will have to sit under lock and key. The president speaks to the audience and tells them about the plan that the genius Peter told her. Having calculated the approximate composition of precious metals and minerals in the comet, the man decided that it was not worth destroying it. According to the creator of smartphones, it is possible to crush the meteorite into small pieces, which will not cause global damage to the planet, and earn more than $100 trillion. Mindy tells her friends about it, but it seems to Kate that greed has clouded the authorities' heads and they are taking an unjustified risk. The girl expresses her thoughts too loudly and is heard by the other cafe patrons, to whom she doesn't even want to justify herself. Climbing onto a table, Kate talks about the government's plans, causing a wave of riots. She is taken away with a bag over her head and charged again, but the girl promises to keep quiet and is granted her freedom. To get her thoughts in order, Kate goes to her parents' house, but her parents won't even let her in the door, stating that the comet's resources are jobs and she wants to ruin everything. Mindy goes to Brie's room, but there the couple is waiting for June, the scientist's wife, who decided to visit him and see how the work is progressing. Unable to contain herself, the woman makes a scene, reminding her husband to take his pills, and leaves, slamming the door. Mindy chooses to stay with the blonde. Kate takes a job at the supermarket as a cashier. A group of guys recognize the salesgirl as a star and show their loyalty, and one of the guys has a portrait of Kate on his skateboard. She lets the buddies steal some merchandise and pretends not to see it. Peter invites Mindy and the president into his garage, where a huge robot is ready to blow up the comet. Randall tries to find out if the businessman has considered all the risks, but Peter is insulted by such questions and responds by telling him that the smartphone knows everything about him, and even that Mindy will die all alone. In the evening, Kate arrives at a hangout with some guys she happened to meet at the store. Thinking that the Earth has no chance of survival, the girl decides to go wild. Randall is invited to another edition of the talk show. But this time the scientist is not as friendly as usual. He loudly and emotionally tries to shout to people, assuring them that the plan with mining the jewels is a failure, and most likely the whole world is over. For being so talkative, Mindy ends up in the car with a bag over her head, and Evans hints to his buddy that their love affair is over. Kate, lying on a mattress with her new boyfriend, talks about the comet, but the guy seems delusional. He believes in God, and it seems to him that this whole story should end well. The couple is about to change the subject and do other things. But Kate notices the comet that everyone has been talking about for the past few months. Mindy notices the space object as well. The scientist stops his car in the middle of the road to get a closer look at the falling giant, and a crowd of people gathers nearby. Despite the horror of what is happening, the astronomers are happy to see such a miracle with their own eyes, and Kate's buddy gets down on his knees and prays that the comet won't take their lives. Social networks are overflowing with millions of videos from all over the world with the hashtag #JustLookUp and people sharing their impressions of what they have seen. On the contrary, the president of the country launches the hashtag #Don'tLookUp, assuring his citizens that scientists are trying to scare them. The country is divided into two sides, some believing in the best, and the others trying to accept the end of humanity. There is a third group, those who are trying to raise their ratings by speculating on the topic. Mindy and Kate make a lot of public appearances, assuring everyone that it is impossible to bring such a comet down to Earth without consequences. But the doctor believes that it is not too late to change the trajectory of the flight and save the planet. In support of the scientists, even a famous singer speaks. The president invites his son to his election debates, but the guy makes such a speech that the chances of winning fall greatly. Jason calls the majority the underclass that the government needs. Oglethorpe gets a call on his phone that makes his face change. The professor is informed that the president has stripped Russia, India, and China of their mineral rights, and these countries have been trying to launch their own mission to destroy a dangerous comet. But as it became known a few hours ago on one space center, there was an explosion, which means that the mission has failed. All humanity can do now is hope that Peter's plan to crush the comet will work. The president holds another rally, urging them not to look up and assuring them that everything is under control. But the crowd notices the comet getting even closer to Earth, and riots break out in the square. Mindy takes the student and her boyfriend away from the city. A sad song in the car leads the boyfriend to romantic thoughts, and he proposes to Kate to get engaged. While the entire administration gathers at the launch point to watch the Dons launch nuclear missiles with Peter, Mindy and her young friends walk around the supermarket picking out tasty canned goods. As the drones take to the sky, Mindy and company come home to his wife, wanting to face the end of the world with her if it is meant to happen. June forgives her husband but not to stay in debt. She admits that she cheated on him too. Oglethorpe joins the astronomer's family and the large company cooks dinner, trying not to think about the future. Peter's drones go into space at this time and dock with the comet, but a few of them fly off before they can work ahead of time. Still, the drones start blowing up, and now we can only hope that it's not for nothing. The cameras on the drones malfunction, and the observation post can't see if they managed to finish off the comet. The President of America gets a call on the phone from the President of China, who says the plan has failed. The giant is still moving towards Earth. The businessmen and the President flee, and the station staff realize they should go too in time to say goodbye to their families. Only the President's son Jason remains in the room, who is afraid to make a decision without his mom and waits for her to return. The President calls Mindy and offers 2 seats on a secret spaceship designed for 2,000 people that is going to a new Earth-like planet where there is life. The scientist refuses, and after he says no, the President remembers that she forgot her son Jason. The humans humbly watch the comet and thank each other for the pleasantries. Even Kate finds something to say while being in someone else's family. The girl thanks her co-workers for trying to make things right. Rich, Kate's buddy, says a prayer that touched even non-believing scientists. Across the country, people get drunk and some even try to shoot back at the comet. Even so, the comet gets very close to the Earth and is minutes away from exploding. The collision happens. Mindy, his family and guests feel the ground begin to shake beneath their feet. Disasters begin to strike all over the world. Forests catch fire from the fiery debris. Seas part. Cities disappear from the face of the Earth. A wonderful dinner of a large company is interrupted by a blast wave. Peter's shuttles land on a new planet and drop off 2,000 runaway greedy rich people, all of them without clothes for some reason. Most of all, such guests are pleased with colorful local animals with appetite. Ate the President of America. This is the end of the movie. Write in the comments what you think about it.